When the great batsmen of old-time Australian cricket are mentioned, the names most likely to be spoken are Don Bradman, with his average of 99.94 runs per Test match innings; Bill Ponsford, the only Australian to score over 400 runs in an innings at first-class level twice; or Victor Trumper, who became the first Australian to score 300 in 1899, and who scored 335 in 3 hours in a Sydney club match in 1903. One name that isn't often brought to mind is Charles John Eady. Then again, he only had the opportunity to play in 2 Test matches, and in neither did he distinguish himself. Although Eady became the first Australian to score a century in both innings of a match, 116 and 112 not out, playing for Tasmania against Victoria in 1895, he was picked as a fast bowler for the Australian side. In club cricket he was considered an all-rounder, although he was certainly a formidable fast bowler. In 1905-06 he took all 10 wickets for 42 runs for South Hobart against East Hobart. His debut test was against England at Lord's in June 1896, when he scored 10 not out and 2. Although he did better bowling, taking 3 for 58 and 1 for 11. Ill health dogged him throughout the tour of England, and he did not play his second and last Test match until 1902 in Melbourne. Batting at number 10, he only made 5 and 3, while again taking wickets with the ball, 3 for 30 and none for 13. The match finished on the 4th of March 1902, and Eady returned home to Tasmania and played one of the most incredible innings in cricket history in the next month. Charlie Eady had been born in Hobart on the 29th of October 1870. His grandfather had been transported to Australia for stealing sheep. Eady was said to have a magnificent physique, standing 6'3" and weighing 15 stone. As well as cricket, he was also a member of the Derwent Rowing Club and a good Australian rules football player. He began playing cricket for the Break a Day Club in 1890. The club, also known as the Early Risers, got their name for beginning training at 5:30 in the mornings. By 1902 he was a respected figure in Tasmanian cricket. The final was due to be played between Break a Day and Wellington over 3 Saturday afternoons in March. The teams assembled at the Upper Cricket Ground in Hobart on the 8th of March. Wellington won the toss to decide who would bat, and playing in perfect weather on a resplendent pitch went in first. Eady clean bowled Malcolm McLeod, who was Eady's brother-in-law, in the first over, but the team scored well, largely due to their captain and opener, veteran Kenny Byrne, who finished the day 117 not out in a team score of 6 for 217. It was the first Australian to score a century and a double century in the same match. Eady proved his value as a bowler, having taken 5 of the 6 wickets to fall. The following Saturday, 15th of March, the Wellington innings continued with a good-sized crowd watching on. Byrne took his total to 161 before he was caught behind, but the tail-end batsman didn't offer much resistance, and Wellington's total was all out for 276. Eady had taken 2 more of the wickets, including that of Byrne, to finish with 7 for 87 from 46 5-ball overs. That alone was a sterling return on his bowling, but as Eady and his opening partner Gill strode to the crease, Eady was about to make the match his own. Eady faced the first over from Dodds, scoring a single run. From there on, the scoring rate accelerated, with the first 100 runs scored in 57 minutes. Break a Day finished the afternoon on 2 for 214, with Eady batting in fine form, although having given chances of being out on 67 and 99, to be 130 not out when time was called. The third afternoon of the game, on the 22nd of March, arrived, and Eady picked up where he had left off, scoring freely all over the ground. Wellington's total was surpassed, and Break a Day had already won, but the team was entitled to play out their innings. 4 of their batsmen were dismissed within an hour, but not Charles Eady. He gave another chance to Wellington which wasn't seized when he was on 154, and reprieved, he took his score to 200, then to 300. Reports suggested that although he was scoring quickly, it was not spectacular throwing of the bat at the ball which was gaining him runs. Rather, it was a technical and methodical accumulation. The bowling was done with purpose, but witnesses suggested a lot of it was loose. When he reached 365, he equalled the Tasmanian record, set 3 years before by the opposing captain, Kenny Byrne. As the day was dwindling away, he reached 400. The highest score recorded by an Australian at that time was 417 not out, made by John Worrell in 1896, when his team Carlton beat Melbourne University by 786 runs. Just as play for the day was to close, Eady equalled and went past Worrell's record by 1 run, to be 418 not out. Eady had hit the ball over the boundary fence 7 times. In 1902, this only counted for 5 runs. To score 6 runs, as has been the case since 1910, a ball needed to be hit clean out of the ground. He had hit 54 fours and run 12 threes and 28 twos. His partner, since the 6th wicket had fallen, with the score at 312, Billy Abbott, had also played well and was 102 not out. The team's score stood at a convincing 6 for 652 when stumps were drawn. There the game could have ended, but the provision had been made for 2 completed innings. On the 27th of March, it was announced that an application from the Secretary of the Break a Day Club to finish the innings had been approved by the Southern Tasmania Cricket Association. Eady would continue batting on the 5th of April, and the Wellington side would continue to chase the ball. Wellington were praised for their sportsmanship in agreeing to continue to play on. The break was due to Easter and the traditional North Tasmania versus South Tasmania match. Eady played in that game too, scoring 72 and 58 for Souths, and taking 11 wickets for the cost of 220 runs. Norths, however, prevailed, winning by 17 runs. At 2:30 p.m. on the 5th of April, the game resumed on another beautiful autumn afternoon. Eady and Abbott continued their 429-run partnership until Abbott was dismissed on 143, the team score having reached 7 for 741. Although play was slow early on, Eady's score kept rising as he played himself in. He quickly passed the 419 not out scored by J.S. Carrick for West of Scotland in 1885, and then passed the highest first-class cricket score of 424, set in 1895 by the English county player and sometimes English Test captain Archie McLaren. Still the runs came, and the crowd were expectant that Eady might be able to beat the mark set by another England Test captain, Andrew Stoddart, who scored 485 in a minor game in 1886. Incidentally, Eady had bowled Stoddart out in the first test in 1896. Eady closed in on the score, and that record too fell. Eady had scored the highest score ever made by a player in senior cricket. 500 beckoned, and Eady was keen to oblige. He reached the milestone score and was still not done. The runs kept being pounded out from his willow bat, and only one more record awaited. The highest score in any formally recorded cricket match had been made by a 13-year-old Arthur Collins in a schoolboy match played in England in June 1899. He had made an incredible 628 not out. Eady was closing in on that record too, when he took a big step down the wicket to the bowling of McLeod, who sent down a slow delivery, which he missed, and was out stumped by Burgess. Charlie Eady finally dismissed, the 9th man out, for the mammoth score of 566. Break a Day were 9 for 908. The crowd shouted themselves hoarse, cheering for Eady. The final partnership added just 3 more runs, the total of 911 being the 4th highest team total in Australian cricket at the time. Eady had hit 13 fives, 67 fours and 33 threes. Had balls hit over the boundary counted for 6 as today, his score would have been 579. He had batted, according to timekeepers, for 7 hours and 57 minutes to accrue his score. Unlike Collins, who died in a trench at the First Battle of Ypres on the Western Front in 1914 at the age of 29, and Stoddart, who shot himself dead at the age of 52 due to financial worries, Eady lived a long and full life. He retired from competitive cricket in 1908. He was a lawyer by profession and after a couple of attempts was elected to the Tasmanian Parliament in 1925, serving until his death at the age of 75 on the 20th of December 1945. Eady also served as president of the Tasmanian Cricket Association from 1926 until his death, as well as terms as president of the Amateur Sports Federation of Australia, the Tasmanian Amateur Boxing Association, the Royal Life Saving Society, and Tasmanian Australian National Football League. Since 1947, the Tasmanian Country Cricket Association's trophy has been named the C.J. Eady Memorial Cup. The bat with which he scored this amazing total was housed at Lord's Cricket Museum for many years, until it was returned to Tasmania in 2003. It now has a place in the Tasmanian Cricket Museum at Bellerive, alongside the ball with which Eady took 8 for 34 in a match played on the 27th of January 1896. Only once has his colossal score been surpassed, again in a schoolboy match, when Indian teenager Pranav Dhanawadi made 1009 in a game in January 2016. Eady's 1902 record is still the highest score ever made at senior level in any form of cricket.